Hi, I'm Dane Sampson. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Warren Potent, arguably the most successful Australian rifle shooter ever. Welcome, Warren.
Thank you, Dane.
2014 has been quite an outstanding year for you.
It was an outstanding year, it was.
Yeah, Com Games, all the World Cup finals and World Championships. Tell us a little bit about the year.
You had a great year, a bit unexpected, winning a World Championship, which is a great thing. It was still a little bit unexpected. I'm still getting over the fact that I'm now World Champion, but phenomenal year compared to the previous couple of years where I've made every final I've competed in. Got a Commonwealth Games medal, which is something I've been chasing for years, and World Championship just topped it right off.
So Com Games to start with, you said you've been chasing that for a while. Tell us about the competition there.
As usual, Commonwealth Games competition is a very tough competition, a lot tougher than what people think it is. Very rough conditions, as you know, you shot the same day.
Yeah, it was.
And in the finals, very rough conditions as well. Had a lot of pressure myself that day for some reason, whether it's because I wanted it so bad or because I knew ranking-wise, I was probably ranked at the top of the people shooting there. Gave a lot of pressure. I was able to kind of get above that and win the competition.
And then World Champs, that was top for the year?
Certainly the top for the year, yeah, I think it's my biggest win ever, really. Yeah, considering it started off in training, not competing very well at all in training, wasn't going very well, made a couple of changes, got a little bit better. Come to elimination, didn't start very well, finished okay, come to the match, everything just come together and it worked easily. And
did you do anything different for the competition as opposed to the training beforehand, or just let it go?
Just let it go. That's probably what I did different. I just let it happen instead of trying.
That usually works. Right?
It usually works pretty good.
And the final, I was watching you in the final, and it was so steady and seemed so calm. I spoke to a lot of the other athletes and they said you just looked so focused. Tell us a little bit about the final.
Well, in the final, when I made the final, I decided was I was going to finish 8th or further up in the rankings, and just decided to have fun with it. So I was just totally relaxed and just fired good shots.
Great, yeah. You could see that.
Yeah, I was having a good time. I was really having fun with it.
Way back in the stands, you could see every really good shot was like, yeah, that's in the middle. That's a 10-7.
Yeah, I could feel the good shots every time I was firing. It was great.
We all get a bit nervous, a bit anxious when it comes to competitions. Can you tell us a little bit about how you deal with these feelings?
Well, being a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious is a good thing. Because I've been shooting so long, I'm probably a little bit too calm before a competition, so being a little bit nervous is a good thing to help heighten all your senses, especially your eyesight and your reflexes, which you need for obviously your sighting and triggering.
Yeah, it makes sense. After every good competition, when we've been speaking with Peter, our coach, you always said you were a little bit wound up, but feeling good and enjoying it.
Yeah, that's when I'm a little bit wound up, that's when I seem to be at my best. So I used to get very nervous for eliminations for some reason, and I think the World Championships in 2006, the usual thing, elimination, I was very nervous, didn't have a very good shoot, and actually I was only first above the line, so 1 point down I wouldn't have even been in qualification, and just qualification I decided just have fun with it, and just shoot, and found myself in the final and realised that I was getting nervous for no real reason.
So with the equipment, everyone knows, and you have quite a reputation for how clean and how particular you are with your equipment. Is that something that developed over the years? Something with your personality? Is that, say, something that helps you be ready for the competition?
It probably does help me be a bit ready in that situation. I'm probably a little bit OCD, but the way I like to keep things in good condition and clean, it's just the way I am. Get a Formula 1 team, their cars are always tuned up, I always look at my rifle, make sure it's in good nick. I wouldn't say I'm not always testing it, but make sure it's clean and working correctly.
Sure, and testing, how often would you do testing?
As for testing, really just once a year, I'll visit Ely and do some with my barrels and do ammunition batch testing and find the best combination, and that's what I'll stick with for the competitions coming up.
With taking a shot, everyone is watching you. There's lots of people always watching, especially in Australia and definitely around the world. When you're shooting well, everyone's obviously watching, everyone's surrounded. Could you tell us sort of the procedure that you go through with your shot from, say, loading till...
From loading, what I'm going through, what's going through my mind? Yeah, it's not too, mine's pretty simple. I really try to keep it simple. Loading the rifle, first obviously loading, then from there I just sort of feel my position, just a quick, whatever you notice, a quick little wiggle type thing.
Yes.
It's just a centering thing, looking away, make sure I'm actually centred on the target. Then I just have the usual rhythm of 3 breaths. I don't do fast or slow, I just do 3 breaths, and during those breaths I'm not so much looking at the sights, I'm just looking at what the wind's doing. Sealing, I'm going to do a centre aim shot or a shade shot, and after that I'm just concentrating on where I want the sights, and then the trigger, because I've been firing so long, the trigger technique is automatic. The follow through is, well, I'm not too sure how long it is, but just enough to see the rifle come back down. Then it's break the position, and it's think about whatever in the world while I'm reloading.
And we see with your routine for the competition, you always have about 10 shots, then your drink of water, then back into it. Do you dry fire in then, or?
There is a dry fire shot, yeah. After my routine is basically just 10 shots, just have a rest for 30 seconds, couple minutes, just to let the mind go, wander wherever, so you're not make yourself too tired through concentrating or continuous concentration. Yeah, just a quick drink of water, half a mouthful, just to help keep dehydrated, don't get a dry mouth. After that I will dry fire 1 shot, just make sure everything's feeling good, then that's really the start of my routine again for the next 10 shots.
Have you ever had to break this routine? You always have your 10 shots. Have you ever, say, had to break halfway through one of the 10 shots?
There's been occasions where I've had to break, yes. One in particular was in Bangkok some years ago. It was very hot using returning targets, and of course the amount of time and the amount of heat there was, I started breaking every 5 shots, and then every 3 shots, and then every 2 shots, just to get through the competition.
Wow, must have been warm.
It was warm, it was physically very tough, yes.
I remember there was one of the competitions in Spain, I think it was World Cup in 2013, there was something that caused you to stop in just before the last 10 shots, I think it was. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I just had a usual break, and for some reason put my rifle back in the shoulder. I must have got my arm in the wrong position and popped my shoulder.
Dislocated your shoulder?
Dislocated the shoulder, as you do.
Okay.
That caused me to stop.
Sure. And how did you deal with that? I mean, that was quite...
Well, I got up and got our coach Peter to pull my arm, or first of all take the jacket off, and asked him to pull my arm back into place, which he wasn't too sure about doing. I was told him just to lean in the arm, he popped it back in, and then I was told, you know, keep going if you want, or just stop. And after I got an initial shock and I started working, I thought, well, just try to get these next 10 shots done, and when I got in position, I realised I had 4 minutes to go and just finish the match.
So you had 4 minutes to go, you just dislocated your shoulder. There would have been quite a lot of pressure on you for that last 10 shots. How did you deal with that? How did you focus? I'm
not too sure how I focused, if I even focused at all. I was just wanted to basically finish the match without having a DNF. And I don't know, I was being just courageous or stupid, but I had to finish that match.
Well, you did it well. You finished with maybe a better score than it was the ones before?
It was my best string for the day,
Best string for the day?
Yeah.
After all that?
Yes.
So that shows quite a strong mental attitude, I think. One thing I'm sure everybody would like to know about is your training. How do you train? How often?
Training, well, strange enough, I can't get to train as much as I'd like to train because of my work commitments. I've got very limited training time available, which is pretty much about 3 times a fortnight, which is not ideal for doing international competition. But I do get the maximum amount of training by concentrating on firing good shots. If I start off with training and it's not so good, I'll just get up and start again. If it continues to be bad, I'll just pack up and go home. But while I'm firing good shots, I will just fire pretty much a match. I might fire 2 matches a day, but all my training is just I just concentrate on just doing a match and firing as good a match as I can. That's my training.
So just quality more over than quantity.
I do
these
just
days.
pretty much it's just all quality only if I can, yeah.
And what about scat? Do you use scat at all?
Haven't used scat for a long time, but it is a very good training tool, especially those who are coming up in the ranks, trying to see what their position is doing. Well, I've got a pretty fair idea what mine is doing, so it's probably not so much important for me. But for other people getting to elite level, or just any elite level, even for juniors, the scat is a very good training tool.
Is there any advice that you would give to new shooters, young shooters?
Any shooter, any level, say just try to enjoy the sport at whatever level. You see a lot of people at competition, they don't shoot so well, they get upset, you see girls crying, which is understandable, there's a lot of pressure, but they've got to remember they're doing these things because they enjoy it. As long as you keep having fun with it, you'll always do well.
That's good advice. It's a sport, so it should be fun.
That's it, that's where I started having fun again and my scores went up again. And I've got a lot of things out of the sport, got a lot of friends from around the world, and the biggest thing I got out of the sport was my wife, who I met through the sport.
Yeah, so that was the next question, see what you got out of the sport, and a wife would be quite high up.
That is the top of the list, yes. Yeah.
Competing with world champs medal, maybe?
No, she's always a bit higher than I. She'll be at the top.
That's the right answer. So to be at such a high level for such a long time, you must have had quite a lot of support. Where's all the support come from?
Yeah, support is a big thing. Without support, you get nowhere. Obviously, Shooting Australia has been great support for me for the last, I couldn't tell how many years now. Obviously, they're supported by the Australian Sports Commission and the Australian Institute of Sport, which is a very good network behind me. Last few years, been supported by New South Wales Institute of Sport, which has been very handy. And I work for a very good company, Cummins South Pacific, who support me by just giving me so much time off to chase my dream.